Hello everyone, this is Mrs. McConnell. Um, this video is just an addition to the one that Miss D sent, that Miss D did. There were just a few problems on there that I thought were a little bit trickier in your assignment, and I wanted to show you some like that just to help you out. So do not watch this video until you have watched the first one of Miss D teaching. Otherwise, this is going to be a little overwhelming because these are a little bit more difficult problems. So make sure you watch that one first, and then this will be just in addition to that. So the first problem we're going to do is right here, 4y to the fourth over 2y to the fifth divided by parentheses 2y to the third over negative 6. So the first thing you always want to do is change this to a multiplication problem. So we're going to do that first. So we're going to write the first one just like it is. We're going to keep that the same. So you'll have 4y to the fourth over 2y to the fifth. And I'm going to change this to multiplication. So I'm going to make this multiplication, and I'm going to flip this second one. So now I'll have negative 6 over parentheses 2y to the third. So all I've done is I've changed this to a multiplication problem. Okay, now I'm just going to move on down. We are going to, well, actually I think what I can do is I can show this over here. What you want to do here is multiply. I'm going to show you two different ways. The first thing you could do is just multiply across just as it is. And then what you'll have to do is reduce. And she showed you ways that you can reduce. So what I'm going to do first, actually, no, I take that back. First thing we're going to do is we've got to simplify this 2y to the third power. Let's get rid of these parentheses here. So what this means is I'm going to take everything in the parentheses and I'm going to take it to the third power. So what that's going to do is that's going to change this second one, and I'll rewrite it to negative 6 over 2 to the third power is 8, and y to the third power is just y to the third power. So let's rewrite that now without the parentheses. So I'm going to come back over here. So you should have, I know you can't see it, but you hopefully have that written down. So now we have 4y to the fourth power over 2y to the fifth. And I remember I changed it to a multiplication problem. And now I'm just going to bring down what I have right here. So I have negative 6 over 8y to the third. Okay, now, again, there's two ways to do this. The first thing you can do is just multiply straight across, or you can do some cross canceling, which is something that Miss D showed in her video. But I'm just going to show you both ways, okay? It doesn't matter which way you use, just whatever way is easier for you. So let's just multiply straight across. We'll do that way first, and then I'll show you doing some cross canceling. So to do that, you just multiply your numbers. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, and I'm still going to have my y to the fourth power. I just multiplied my numbers and then just kept my y to the fourth. So now if I do the same thing on the bottom, I would have 2 times 8 is 16, and then I've got y to the fifth times y to the third makes y to the eighth. Okay, so all I did was multiplied straight across. Now I'm going to simplify that. Let's look at our numbers. I've got negative 24 and a 16. Just pretend that's a fraction. What number do they have in common? Well, 24 and 16 have a common factor of 8. So if I divide both of those numbers by 8, I would get negative 24 divided by 8 is a negative 3. And 16 divided by 8 is 2. Okay, and then you could go ahead and bring down your y to the fourth and your y to the eighth if you want to. Just bring those over. Now I've got negative 3 over 2 that's as simple as it can get. And then let's look at our our exponents here. I've got y to the fourth and y to the eighth. Well, remember, you can subtract the exponents, but where are my extra y's going to be? They're going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to have 8 minus 4. I'm going to have 4 y's left on bottom. And then I've got my 2. So my answer is going to be negative 3 over 2y to the 4th. Now I'm going to show this same problem from right here. I'm going to start over right here and show you another way to do it, okay? So I have 4y to the 4th over 2y to the 5th times negative 6 over 8y to the 3rd. So I'm just kind of starting over right here. I'm going to just show you your way you can do it with cross canceling, okay? Just to make your numbers a little smaller, and you'll see that we can get the same answer. So let's look at our numbers that are across from each other. I've got 4 and 8. Well, if this was like 4 over 8, what would that reduce to? That would reduce to 1/2, right? So this can become a 1 and that can become a 2. It's kind of like reducing your things that are across from one another. Let's look at our other cross products here. I've got negative 6 over a positive 2. Well, those have a common factor of 2, so that would make this a negative 3, and that would make that a 1, okay? And now I can just multiply straight across. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. I still have my y to the 4th over 1 times 2 is 2. And I have y to the 5th times y to the 3rd is y to the 8th. So I'm almost done. Again, really, I'm kind of at the same point I was before. I've got my y to the 4th and y to the 8th. Those can cancel out, and I've got 4 y's on bottom, and I have my negative 3 over 2. So notice I get the same answer the same way. I just did it a little bit differently. Here, I just multiplied straight across and then reduced. Here, I did my cross canceling and I got the same answer. All right, we're going to move on to B. You can pause the video and write that down if you need to. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this using multiplication. I'm going to change that division to multiplication. So what I'm going to do is write my first, my paper is kind of getting hooked on my little thing there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to always keep my first one the same. That's not going to change, so that will be 2a over a plus 4. But remember, to change this to a multiplication problem, I'm just going to flip those. So this is going to be times, okay, where y'all can see it, times, and I just flip those. So I have a plus 4 squared over a squared. So again, make sure when you change these to multiplication, you flip the second, like fraction. I know that's more than a fraction, but you're always going to flip the second one. Don't ever flip this first one, okay? So I've rewritten it using an rewritten it as a multiplication problem by flipping this right here to make this. Okay, so now what I've got is, notice I've got an a plus 4 here, and I look and see what I can cancel out. I've got an a plus 4 here. I have 2a plus 4 here. I mean, this could be in parentheses. Okay, so notice I could write this as a plus 4 times a plus 4, right? Because it's a plus 4 squared. It's the same thing. So what can cancel out? I can cancel out this a plus 4 and one of these a plus 4s. I'm still left with this one. I rewrote it like this. So I'm still left with that one a plus 4, but one of those will cancel out. Well, let's look at the other cross products here. So I've got 2a and I have a squared. Well, again, this is a times a, right? So what do they have in common? They have 1a in common. I can get rid of that 1a and I'm left with another a on bottom. I just rewrote this as a times a, and then I can cancel out. So I'll look and see what I have left. Okay, let's just see what I haven't canceled out. Well, it looks like I haven't canceled out this 2 and I have one of my a plus 4s still left there. So I have 2 times a plus 4. And on bottom, that canceled out. One of those canceled out and left me with just a. Now notice, I do have an a here and an a here. However, this is an a plus 4. You cannot separate that a plus 4. If it was multiplication, yes, you could. But this 4 has to stay with this a, and there's no 4 down here. So this is simplified. You cannot cancel out those a's because they're not exactly the same. So this is your answer. All right, I'm going to stop the video and then I'm going to do the next 2 problems.